looking forward to this webinar. It's brought to you by the Signify Lighting Academy. Signify, we're a world leader in lighting. We offer light sources, luminaires, systems and services across the board. We are number one in connected lighting and LED and in conventional lighting. We have a family of about 32,000 people across the world in 70 countries. We are a company that is very much focused on innovation, and I think the discussion today will be also aligning with that, with AI being so important in any part of the discussion around what's happening in businesses, design, and everywhere else. We are leading our business with a 85% in LED sales. We have about 20,000 patents plus and still working on many new ones every day. And we're very successful in connected lighting with about 139 million light points. Next to that, we are very focused on sustainability with our Brighter Lives, Better World program, and we aim to double our positive impact on the environment and the society by 2025. So the main purpose, and I think that is also fitting the context of our discussion, is to unlock the extraordinary potential of light for people, their brighter lives, and of course also for a better world. We are, of course, have a long heritage as a company. We came from the Philips time and the Philips days, and have been actually in the lighting business continually for about 130 years. But next to that, also, I just want to highlight one little celebration that the Philips design team has in January of this year. They actually exist 100 years exactly. And that is a fantastic achievement, and also a long time of a design organization actually be on top of the game. Next to that, of course, being part of what was Philips Lighting now is Signify. We're part of that heritage, and we're also proud to represent the Philips brand and all the products that we do. But let's go to the next part. We're sitting here together, and I have a wonderful friend, an ex-colleague, and somebody that I talk to still very, very regularly about everything that has to do with design and with lighting, is Marco Bevolo. So Marco, welcome.
Thank you very much. To introduce myself, I will keep it very short. I have been working, studying the future for the last 25 years at Philips Design, and I'm currently working in a multiple capacity as academic with the World University of Design in India, with Breda University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands, and I also design and deliver consulting projects in organizational futures, in Foresight, and in other disciplines. I have been involved with urban futures and city light since 2005-2006, and I grew into understanding, validating and reflecting about lighting design and the quality of life in cities through a doctoral trajectory, publications, and a constant dialogue with the industry, with thought leaders and with academics in this domain. So this is how I join you today. I will explain the nature of the presentation that I'm going to share in a few moments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marco. And again, welcome. A few words on myself. I'm the Chief Design Officer of products, interfaces, but also light experiences. I'm here to across the world also represent a team that we have both in consumer and in professional lighting. Next to that, we focus a lot on innovation, and I think that's also where this talk really belongs. It's an important element of what we do. There's so much going on in the lighting industry for us to look at and to explore. As I said today, it's one of those things where we look at what the impact of AI is. I've seen Marco before at the IALD in London telling this story, and I think it is really worthwhile to again look at it. I know he has been rethinking and working on it since then a little bit, but I think it's a great food for thought discussion. So with that, I'll hand it over to Marco to lead.
Thank you very much. So this presentation was indeed inspired by Martin Lupton and ID&A. Originally the question was, can you investigate the future of lighting design? I had a lead time of 5 weeks from the question to delivering a keynote at their European Congress in London in 2024. Here I am. And therefore I worked with Dennis Draeger, the research director of Shaping Tomorrow, in order to generate this presentation. I see myself in the mirror as younger than this picture looks like, but that's the spirit of the presentation. Here, together with my co-author and sparring partner, this is Dennis Draeger. He's a resident in New Zealand. Shaping Tomorrow is based in the UK, and they are a automated Foresight, and they are a technological driven consulting firm for futures research for the last 30 years. Basically, Dennis helped me with the machines and with the access to artificial intelligence in the leanest, most efficient and effective way. This is how artificial intelligence sees us, and our presentation is actually how artificial intelligence sees lighting design and the profession of lighting designer in the future. So it's relatively easy for me to deliver this presentation because not necessarily what you see in the presentation is my opinion. It is what generative AI thinks of lighting design, lighting designers, lighting in the future. At the same time, it's not entirely automated because together with Dennis, we got about 100 signals of the future, 100 milestones to possibly share, and we did some quite heavy editing work. And on top of it, we spoke with industry experts like Tapio Rosenius, Philip Ross in Eindhoven, Lucy, Mark Barton Page, and more. So we had conversations. Therefore, we regard Dennis and I this presentation as a hybrid between human and machine, between us and generative artificial intelligence. We are actually producing a number of academic papers in order to clarify our methodological point of view. By the way, this presentation is also covered. I have here a few goodies to show you and to share. ARC published in August an article by Dennis and I with some highlights and even some visuals from this presentation that are not included in the set, but still they were valuable and interesting. Indeed, the takeaways of from this presentation are visuals. Everything you see, including this icon, is being generated by artificial intelligence answering the question, what is the future of lighting design? The signals are individual slides, and the first part of the presentation will be a number of signals, a number of individual events, individual concepts that are deemed as relevant by artificial intelligence. The trends, we are going to share two sets of trends, two design trends and two cultural trends, which are appearing important for lighting design. And these trends are the combination of more signals according to the trained judgment of Dennis and me. So the trends are more edited and manufactured by humans. And then there is going to be two reflexive moments. The first is about how to make sense of the context, of the larger context with a metrics tool, or better, what artificial intelligence can do in creating or updating a metrics tool, and then some reflection together with you deriving from dialogue. As a researcher, I belong to the constructivist epistemology, and therefore I always believe that the dialogue with the audience and the stakeholders is key in producing valuable research. There are a few themes in this presentation. Lighting design, of course, since we are speaking about the future of lighting design. However, we go beyond lighting and beyond light, as more thought leaders told me last summer that it is very important for lighting designers to be less about lighting and more about design. We are going to look at cities, at a bigger context, and of course we're going to look at the future. The whole presentation is about the future. Signals. I started editing this presentation from business signals. What is the future of lighting design from the perspective of lighting design as a business? And then I followed an order to present a few signals, which is a city people light. So I looked into urban futures, into the sociological side, and into more technical aspects of lighting. The City People Light is the name of the program that has been run by Philips Design and Philips Lighting for 20 years, and I directed for 10 years. So that was a little homage in the presentation at IALD of reference to my past. So the business modeling, what is going to be the business of lighting design in the future ahead, in the next 5 to 10, 12 years? Here, what was evident and painfully evident was that human intervention could not compensate the fact that generative AI considers itself as a big, major transformative factor for the future of everything, and therefore also of lighting design, which seems quite logical. But that's almost what artificial intelligence told us, because the other signal that was given about business modeling or the commercial side of lighting design, how to make money out of lighting design, was simply this signal, lighting as a service or lighting design subscription. It is very meager, and it was a bit of a confronting way to start a keynote targeting 300 lighting designers. But that's what artificial intelligence says. And here I would like to hear Tom's opinion, actually, since he is in charge of a team of lighting designers.
Yeah. So from my point of view, now AI has been around now for like 2 years. Yes, there are changes. Many things are still going as they are. But the reality is, and we know and we realize, is that things are moving very, very fast. And things are definitely going to change in relationship to lighting design. I'm not going to be here to be telling an alarmist story. I don't believe that. I think humans will always have a very, very large contribution. But a few things I just want to very highlight is the first step that we are seeing, and that's also what if you walk around in what we do as a company is automation. Yeah, so there's a lot of repetitive tasks that we do everywhere, and I would even say in lighting design there's also quite a bit of standard work to be done, where you see that automation is taking hold, and we see those things popping up everywhere, also within the part of ourselves. The second part that you see in design is on the creative side. There's plenty tools like Midjourney, HeyGen, you name them, that can help with the creative process. So we are using those, sometimes very successful, sometimes it still feels like even now it's in an experiment. We still desire a lot more control to get the outcome clear. On the third level, it's lighting design itself, and I think people who are visiting and looking at the leaders and the thought leaders are looking at what's going on, is that we're all trying to easier and quicker represent a lighting design in a virtual environment. To do that real time, let's say coming from a Dialogs or a Realux to that is still an elusive goal, but I'm sure in time this will change. But we are doing things like that already within, for instance, in the Hue portfolio. If you click on one of the Explore buttons, you can actually place a lamp through an AR tool on a wall or on the ceiling and turn it off and on, even have different light effects. So you see that things are moving rather quickly. So overall, technology will move on many, many sides. AI is not only something that is in the process, but it's also happening in the outside world. So what our customers are doing with AI is going to impact what we do as well. So I think that could be a discussion for a whole webinar itself, Marco, but I'm going to leave it here.
This was a bit the opener about how will lighting design work from a business point of view. What will lighting design do? And here I mentioned the city people light kind of division, which is a bit of a divertissement from on my side. So the urban lighting, how is going light in our cities going to make a difference? Well, two signals, light smarter than crime. So basically the entire field of anticipatory policing, the entire field of security, where huge challenges in terms of democracy, privacy, citizen rights exist, and light art and micromobility. Well, if you notice, form and function, interactive and individual focused, stayed the same. So this is output from the machine. Basically, what artificial intelligence saw as the future of lighting design is a very functional application to security and to patrolling, to policing our cities, and new combinations of the aesthetic function integrated into functional solutions. This is a kind of theme that will recur in the presentation. If we move to people, we see what the social impact of urban lighting is expected to be. Again, we see a kind of a functional aspect. This was featured a lot in City People Light since the mid-2000s. So the use of urban lighting for well-being, for health provision, artificial intelligence came up with serotonergic as a word. At the same time, a more conceptual look at the general employment of lighting, biodynamic, deriving from the theories of Rudolf Steiner, life-centric, and life-centric is a very important reference because it opens the door to the entire new philosophies of design promoted, for example, by Bruce Mau in the wider field of thought leadership. City people, so we see that there will be combinations of function and aesthetics, and the well-being of people will be central in recuperating our human condition. From the point of view of light, also we see two extremes. On the one hand, there is a lot of excitement, especially in the context of advanced innovation, so deep tech on nanophotonics, where lighting designers will be enabled to design lighting solutions by the nanometer. So to work with the wavelength, to make choices based on science and based on unprecedented possibilities. But also what emerged, and this was surprising for me, being naturally inclined to look at the future, actually the future of our lighting solutions, especially at urban level, might be in the innovation of the past, meaning IoT, Internet of Things, interconnectivity, system-ready solutions that were developed maybe 10 years ago are new for all those cities where they are not installed yet. And they happen to be perfectly conforming in some cases, and especially in certain markets, like, for example, a number of Eastern European countries, to the Repower EU and other recovery plans by the European Union. And therefore, the technological futures of urban lighting might be in innovations that are already there for some time, but they are there for us, for Ton, for me, for you attending this seminar, because you and us, you and we are in the business. The citizens might not have seen them yet. And this brings me to, let's say, wrap up this first part of the presentation, the signals. So individual slides or individual manifestations of lighting design futures. And I would like to ask Ton, this is a bit of a Russian salad, or it's a bit of a minestrone soup. What would be your impression of this first batch of signals?
Well, there you go. You know, I think we all have tried and worked with AI and asked it questions, and we know kind of at the back end on how it works. It basically works with data that has already been generated, and I think that's what we see and reflect here. However, I think we're also amused and enjoyed by some hallucinations that it have, and I must say it also, I sometimes compare with my own designers. Sometimes you want your own brain to hallucinate, to create an original idea, and now you have technology that can do it for you. So, but it's just going from the beginning to the end, you know, light smarter than crime. You know, safety is a big thing, and it's been a big thing for lighting forever. I think it is kind of one of the core aspects of what lighting started to do when we were able to light cities and people could safely go outside and expand their lives. Now, of course, what AI says is light smarter than crime. Yes, there's a lot of things that we can do with sensors and everything, but again, you know, also for us as a company, you have to be careful what you do with balancing safety with privacy. That is something that you always have to work on. So technology can do a lot more, but do you want it? And that's always a balance that we also, as designers, have to think about. As designers, we represent the public and the individual, and we have to consider that with everything we do. But that, you know, as I said, this is something where there's a lot of demand everywhere in the world for lighting, and systems there combined can do great work. Light art and micro-mobility, I think it is, by the way, together it's an interesting hallucination, but sometimes that triggers always the new ideas, as we know, moving forward. You know, I think we come back to the light art part later on, and micro-mobility is just a giant theme as well in the world itself. So I'm not surprised it picked that up. Light therapy and public spaces, Mark already said, we've been working on it for a long time. And I remember when I joined Philips Design in 2005, we had also already the first experiments with, products where you would allow light to interact with people and people to interact with themselves. But the therapy side is also part that is definitely going on. I think what's interesting here is that light therapy, as part of people-centric or human-centric lighting, is already a big thing for a long time. But putting it in public spaces is an interesting thought. I think it's not for everywhere, but especially if you say we're in the Netherlands, but definitely if you go north from here, there's a lot of sunlight that people are missing, and getting a nice light shower to re-energize is something that is definitely something that is already utilized in many products that have been in the market for a long time. But in a public space, I've not seen that yet. Biodynamic lighting, I already referred to that a little bit. Yes, it's a big thing. Many more. We're working on many propositions and have them already in the portfolio. It's a technology where the light emitting technology already allows us to really program and control the light output to a very minute detail. We have a product that's called BioUp, where we actually add cyan to the light elements that you don't see. So the light quality feels the same, but you still get an extra boost from cyan, which will help you with your circadian rhythm and all these things like that. Nanophotonics, yeah, Marco, it's a buffet. It's a lot. Nanophotonics, well, here you go. So what I do, we have a wonderful team in research with lots of PhDs. And I called my colleague, Professor IJzerman, who's also, of course, working at Signify. So I asked him, do you know anything about nanophotonics? Because I didn't know anything. And he explained to me, and I won't go into that, but it's an extremely interesting technology. And there's an awful lot going on and written about, and that's why AI picked it up. It has really, really some very interesting application, but it's just not ready for the mainstream. So that's something that definitely in the research organizations, they are looking at it, but we as ordinary people have to wait a little bit longer before it becomes something that we can utilize in our everyday. Now, in internet connectivity and IoT, I can only underwrite what you say. Connectivity has been there, but the acceleration that we will get by just the density of the amount of devices in different levels in the environment around us will open up different and new opportunities. There's many technologies that are being developed where, let's say, Wi-Fi signals, which we know as connectivity, can also be used as to locate if people actually are in a building. So this is, old technology that gets new uses and really will change what we can do with these intelligent systems, and then also what we can do with these systems to really deliver value for lighting.
Thank you, Tom, for grounding these signals into practice. We now move to the core of our presentation, which is trends. And we will see two design trends and two cultural trends, which again is Draeger of Shaping Tomorrow on the basis of trained judgment on our experience. So we are in the hybrid part of the presentation. Two trends in lighting design as such, darkness design and shaded design is the first. So darkness design, shaded design is about light having to keep a balance with the dark. So the problem of light pollution is already being formulated across the last 2 decades. The need of the dark sky at night for a number of reasons, from the preservation of the nightlife and the kind of natural harmony of the environment, to finding back and respecting and honoring the landscape at night. This is a major trend for sure already for at least a decade. We can mention Noche Zero by Paulina Villalobos. It's been presented in London at IALD. We can mention Christine Bredal, who came up with the concepts of tourism related to dark sky in Norway. Citizen science projects and initiatives aimed at mapping the dark sky. Shaded design is the use of daylight into solutions. Not for nothing, you see a kind of visual by artificial intelligence, which is speaking more of Mediterranean or Middle East cities than Northern European cities or Northern Hemisphere cities. However, if you notice in the text, which is also all automatically generated, could effective shade design address light pollution by shielding the sky from light, its source and reflection? So the generative artificial intelligence has been thinking one step beyond or one step further, which is shade design as a solution to the challenges of obtaining the dark sky. The second design trend is related to materials, self-luminous materials, biomaterials, luminous composite materials, stuff that glows in the dark by itself. So artificial lighting without electricity, bioluminescent lighting, biophilic lighting design. So you see both the source and the way designers work with the source is following natural laws of nature. And microalgae as a potential material. Here the example is referred to startups like Glowy in Paris, working with bacteria on self-luminous or light-emitting sources. I selected a book to represent this design trend, and it's The Darkness Manifesto by Johan Eklöf, who is an expert in bats, not in Batman, but in bats. So originally, he studied bats and he works about bats in the Scandinavian context. And basically, this book is explaining, articulating, and going very deep into the topic of dark sky at night. And I would like to ask Ton, since you are a designer, what do you think of these design trends, of these two design trends, the dark sky, darkness design, and by the way, darkness design is a concept or a kind of naming that comes from Leni Schwendinger, so there has been work on the topic, and natural materials, biomaterials.
When it comes to dark skies, it is something that we also are looking at, and actually are very seriously looking at. We see it also as something that we need to do, and I'm not saying here only as Signify, but also as designers. We talked about IoT and that the systems have been around. So this for me is a topic where this technology can help us tremendously. We've all been in these cities and see these massive buildings where all the lights are out and you wonder if somebody's there. I think a lot of times it's about there's just nobody to press the button to do that. So see, there's a lot of manual decision making things work, and that's where I think systems can come in. And let's be honest, we invented artificial light for human beings, and since then we've moved on also to have light for plants and everything else. So we understand the concepts of light very, very well, and I think we just have to start to learn how to turn it off when there is just no need for it. that's where I think that will happen also because the systems are there. So it doesn't mean less light. When people are there, you need it. You just should not have it on when it's not needed. On the bioluminescence side, Marco, I think we can recall two gentlemen on our Philips Design Time, Jack and Clive van Leerden.
You need to unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you. That was my colleague. Just to unmute myself. So we had two colleagues back, Jack Mama and Clive van Leerden did an experiment with a biolight playing in the glass cells. If you Google Philips probes, you can actually see that. And indeed, there's quite a few researchers that are continuing to look at it. What I think it is something that will continue on. And I love the idea of having biolight, let's say at night, have the glow in the dark in the background. This mainstream lighting probably will not happen because it's just not very efficient. But I think as an effect, it is beautiful. And I would look forward to see some things happening.
Thank you. Thank you. Then, from design trends, darkness design and self-luminous materials, we shift to cultural trends. So these are trends in society. Of course, they are related to lighting design and the future of lighting design because artificial intelligence selected each single manifestation, but they are somehow more contextual. So two trends, storytelling and neuro everything. The first trend, storytelling beyond lighting. Basically, artificial intelligence sees lighting design evolving along the lines of adaptive narratives. You see the repetition of from human-centric to life-centric. There is a reference to interactive digital literature, and on the slide you also see gaming. So basically the functioning or the concepting of lighting design goes beyond the pure functional and even of the purely aesthetic dimensions, but takes one leap forward into narratology and into storytelling. This was a very interesting slide. The reference to immersive theater experiences. Lighting design has a huge debt to pay to stage design in theaters and in concerts and so on. However, in this case, there is a very precise reference to a theater tradition of the 1900s, which is being studied by scholars like Josephine Machon. Immersive theater is the involvement of the audience. It's a theater that is being theoretically developed by Antonin Artaud, Carmelo Bene in Italy, the Living Theater in the 1960s. And basically, it's about getting the audience straight on the stage into the plot. It is quite abstract. At the same time, it shows a direction towards participatory involvement of people. This is a bit the tradition of City People Light. Currently, Philip Ross in Eindhoven is doing a lot of design work to advance in this participatory tradition. The other cultural trend is neuro everything beyond lighting. So basically, neuroaesthetics, neuroscience has been validated in the last couple of decades as an emerging field, neuromarketing, where basically the measurement of neural responses to the exposure to art and beauty leads design development of propositions and so further. The micro niche of neuroplasticity enhancement through art therapy came into the flow of manifestations. I was a bit skeptical when I saw it the first time, but then from my dialogue with Martina Frattura, who is writing a PhD about this topic, I learned that there are a lot of investments in the research related to this topic. There is a lot of interest, and there is a club of experts based in Washington, but globally operational, working on this. Last one is neurosurgical interventions. So basically, it's about getting a chip into your skull in order to connect to the machine. There are some examples in fine arts, in contemporary arts, of artists who installed an antenna in their body. This is unlikely to happen, according to artificial intelligence. So while we have the art therapy neuroplasticity as a likely development, we see the success of neuroscience in diverse fields. Actually, in my Dutch academic employer context, we have an experience lab led by Professor Bastiansen that has been growing very successfully from a scholarly point of view. At the same time, artificial intelligence gives us a bit of a divider. So neuroscience working for people, yes. Neurosurgical intervention, unlikely. I have also here a source. This was actually advised by Martina Frattura, Your Brain on Art by Susan Magsamen and Ivy Ross. I think this is a very accessible and enjoyable book to learn about the development of this field. So we are looking at automation, storytelling in terms of cultural trends. What's your take on it, Tom?
Lighting still has so much to people to offer, but I think we all know, and I assume that everybody listening is in the profession here, how difficult it is to explain to non-lighting people how to design just a beautiful home. And I think this is where, I cannot comment on everything, but the focus here is that how do we get more out of light? And I think this is where connecting to the possibilities in a more natural way, and I would say that's where I got triggered by that engagement with the artists on stage, that people would want to do that. They want to know how to use light to really make the life more rich, either personally, but maybe even outside. Light as something that people experience and an emotion is already becoming mobile. In other words, there are light systems where you can actually program a little light experience with a system and then send that same experience via your whatever social media to somebody else. So you see that that connectivity is already happening, but what I see mostly is that AI, and we have all heard about AI agents that are really much more intelligent, will help you to get the most out of these systems. Yeah. And you already have our phones, we have our watches, so it's just another step in the evolution.
Thank you, Ton. And actually, Ton mentioned how to make sense of all of this. From a design point of view, he just shared his vision and viewpoint. From a Foresight, a futures research point of view, we make sense of signals and trends by using tools to capture a context and to manipulate in a productive, constructive, and fruitful way the information, the data that we have. And now we are entering in more the kind of reflexive part of the presentation. We asked to artificial intelligence to generate such a tool. We referred to a tool that has been used by Philips Lighting, Philips Design, since 1995, the Urban Futures Matrix, originally developed by Francesco Morace of the Future Concept Lab in Milan, and adopted, developed through the decades. So basically we asked, we fed the machine with the Urban Futures Matrix, and we asked the machine, please design a new urban future matrix. The last version of the matrix is 2014. The machine generated what looks like a matrix. However, this is purely semantics. This is purely cosmetics. This is not a matrix because the actual matrix needs to have some qualities, needs to be divided into two semi-axes on each axis, needs to create interdependencies, needs to create the possibility of making discriminatory choices in terms of allocating data. All of this is not possible with the matrix created by artificial intelligence. So the machine cannot achieve this goal. What we did with the machine, with Dennis, and you can find it in the article in ARC magazine, where we reported on the on our keynote. We updated the 2014 matrix, and we made the parameters, the axes, relevant for nowadays. The one mentioned hallucinations. Indeed, we found hallucinations in our research together with Dennis. Basically, what you see here is me in a real picture, but reinterpreted by artificial intelligence. And it's a little bit how artificial intelligence looks at reality when hallucinating. So solar aesthetics, solar storms, these are manifestations we could not really position. But bamboo design that emerged from another search for another project I did at the same time, we also, together with Dennis, could not really position it in the research project we were doing. After a few weeks, we saw that bamboo design was one of the 10 highest rated design trends at the Milano Design Week of 2024. So our hypothesis, based on this empirical experience, has been formulated as a liminal hypercreativity, that when hallucinating, the machine actually expresses some genius potential. So the hallucinations should not be treated as the garbage from the prompt search result. Hallucinations should be treated as potentially very valuable materials to be analyzed differently than in the way a positive scientist would analyze a result from the lab. This is what generative AI told us, Dennis and me, about the future of lighting design. Well, this is me when I was a child, and this is the real me. This is not artificial. And the picture is there because actually the conversations with real people are the best setting to make progress with reflecting about the future.